Everyone wants to find their one thing, that single purpose that makes everything click. The story we're told is simple. Pick a lane, master it, and never stray. But history's greatest minds didn't follow that rule. Da Vinci painted and engineered. Franklin invented and governed. Curie studied physics and chemistry. They didn't chase one thing, they chased connection. The world calls them polymaths. We used to raise children to become them. Curiosity was once a virtue. Now it's treated like a distraction. Modern society worships specialization. You're told to pick your niche, get efficient, stay in your lane. But there's a hidden cost. You stop seeing the world. You start mistaking your lane for the entire map. Most adults stop learning new subjects by the age of 25. Not because they can't, but because they're told curiosity is childish. That wandering means you're lost. That mastery means knowing one thing deeply and ignoring everything else. But the polymath sees it differently. They believe learning many things deeply is how you understand anything truly. So how do you actually become one? In a world that punishes generalists and rewards specialists, there's a myth that polymaths are geniuses born with infinite curiosity. They're not. They just never stopped asking questions. Think of knowledge like a map. Most people find a tiny corner, build a fence, and call it expertise. Polymaths wander. They build bridges between territories no one else visits. They don't chase skills for status. They chase understanding for its own sake. And that single difference changes everything about how they think, create, and live. Because the secret of mastery isn't focus. It's friction. Every time you cross disciplines, ideas collide. And those collisions create insight. You don't need to learn everything. You just need to learn how to connect anything. Our education system was designed for factories, not frontiers. Rewards repetition over imagination, speed over depth, and answers over questions. You're trained to be efficient, not intelligent. You learn to memorize, not to explore. And by adulthood, your mind becomes a closed circuit, optimized but uninspired. That's why so many successful people feel empty. They've climbed a ladder that leans against a narrow wall. They know a lot about very little, and it suffocates them. Specialization isn't evil, it's just incomplete. You can't innovate without expertise, but you can't evolve without exploration. The polymath understands both. Their only specialty is learning itself. They don't ask, what am I good at? They ask, what connects what I'm good at? That's how Da Vinci could study anatomy and invent flight. He wasn't running from focus, he was expanding it. Every field fed the others. Every obsession became a bridge. So what's the modern way to do this? It starts with something I call the learning lattice. Picture a web. Your mind at the center, threads reaching everywhere. At the core sits your main discipline, the one domain you already know well. Round it are adjacent nodes, subjects that touch it indirectly. Psychology, design, philosophy, physics, storytelling, biology, code. You don't study them randomly. You learn them to strengthen your core, like adding muscles that support the same movement. Every new subject adds a new lens. And when you start seeing through multiple lenses, patterns appear. That's what makes polymaths powerful. Not because they know everything, but because they see connections others miss. You don't build a library of knowledge. You build a network of insight. And that network compounds. It doesn't grow linearly, it multiplies. Ideas start talking to each other. And that dialogue becomes creativity itself. So how do you train this in real life? There's a simple 3-step process. First, curiosity cross-training. Pick 2 unrelated skills and practice them side by side, like logic and poetry, or programming and drawing. The tension between them forces your brain to stretch. That discomfort is where creativity is born. Da Vinci did this without realizing it. Dissecting bodies one moment, sketching flying machines the next. Every shift reconfigured his mind. Second, the 80-20 depth rule. Go deep on one skill until you understand its patterns. Then use that depth to decode others faster. Learning becomes easier because you're not starting from zero anymore. You're translating patterns across fields. Once you've mastered music, you'll see rhythm in writing. Once you've studied architecture, you'll recognize structure in arguments. Everything reflects everything else. Third, synthesis sessions. Once a week, pause to ask, how does this relate to that? Don't just collect information, combine it. Write it down. Map it visually. Force ideas from different worlds to meet. That's how new ones are born. The polymath superpower isn't memory, it's its connection. And yes, it's still possible today. In fact, it's easier than ever. The internet has made polymathy inevitable. We live in a world where every subject touches every other. Technology meets psychology. Art merges with science, and philosophy shapes design. The only thing missing is your ability to connect the dots. That's the system polymaths share. They don't learn to store. They learn to connect. They see knowledge as circuitry. Every new idea is a wire that lights up when linked to something else. Over time, those connections form a network that hums with energy. Your mind becoming a living ecosystem of insight. When you start thinking this way, something beautiful happens. You stop feeling behind. You stop comparing, because learning itself becomes your identity. You realize you'll never arrive, and then that's the point. A polymath's life isn't a ladder, it's a web. Every thread you weave makes the world more visible. Most people die inside the borders of their first success. You don't have to. You can live on the frontier of endless curiosity. Being a polymath isn't about becoming everything, it's about becoming fully alive. Not an expert in a single room, but the architect of an entire house of thought. So don't chase more knowledge, chase better connections. Because every idea you connect rewrites reality itself. You don't need to know it all. You just need to remember one thing. The more you connect, the clearer the truth becomes.